Ladies and gentlemen, we have some absolutely massive news, and this time it is actually huge, and it's coming straight out of Illinois, specifically Chicago. As you know, President Trump made a bold move. He looked at what was happening in Chicago, the chaos, the crime, the migrant crisis spiraling completely out of control, and he said enough is enough. The plan was to send in the National Guard to restore order and protect American citizens. Well, J.B. Pritzker and Chicago's far-left leadership absolutely lost their minds. They fought it all the way to the Supreme Court. And unbelievably, the Supreme Court ruled that President Trump cannot deploy the National Guard into Chicago. Let that sink in. But what makes it even more shocking is that three so-called conservative justices sided with the left, claiming this move was unconstitutional. It's outrageous. But here's where it gets interesting. And this is the part they did not think through. Legal analysts are now saying this ruling may have opened the door to something far bigger, because apparently if the National Guard is off the table, the Marines may not be. That's right. A legal expert just explained on Fox News that this decision actually could give President Trump a different, far more powerful option, one Illinois does not want to deal with. And if Trump takes this route, J.B. Pritzker is going to be in full-blown panic mode, total meltdown, and he's going to be crying big fat elephant tears into his donuts every morning. This could blow the entire situation wide open. But I want you to take a listen to this, because if this happens, Illinois could have just made the biggest strategic mistake of its life. Let's get to this. Take a listen. The Marines possibly going into Chicago. It's a big possibility. Listen.
Initially, recently said, look, I'm trying to enforce the laws with ICE agents, with federal law enforcement, and I can't do it, so I need to call the National Guard. But the statute says the president has to be unable to enforce the law with regular forces. What does regular forces mean? We don't know. The Supreme Court has never decided that question before yesterday. The Supreme Court now says regular forces means you have to try with the regular armed forces first before you can bring out the National Guard. So the unintended consequence here might be that the president is going to have to call the 82nd Airborne or the Marines or the 101st Airborne
Let's
Division,
go.
as, for example, President Eisenhower did after Brown versus Board of Education in the South to enforce desegregation. President Trump might have to do that first in order to protect those federal buildings, those ICE agents. And then if they fail, he can then call out the National Guard.